Am I the asshole for snapping at my sister that she'll choke on her jealousy one day? Hi, I'll try to keep it as short as I can. I promise I'll clarify things if there are confusions and sorry about them in advance. I'm 21F and I have 2 siblings. My sister is 24 and engaged. My brother is 28 and married to my sister-in-law who is 25. My parents hosted a family luncheon to celebrate my sister's engagement at their house. I went early to help them set up, my brother and sister-in-law a little bit later than everyone else. My sister and her fiancé arrived last. Everything was going well and everyone was happy until my sister got a text and pulled me aside. She asked me if I could go outside and meet a friend of hers who's going to drop something off for her. I did. The something was a big ball of pure happiness, a Saint Bernard dog with a cute little formal tie around his neck. As adorable as he was, I couldn't bring him in because my sister-in-law is allergic. Her allergy is not severe but still. Everyone in the family knows of it. I told the friend to please wait while I talked to my sister, she did not. I texted my sister that I can't bring him inside. She texted that it was fine, to bring it in because it's a surprise and he's the newest addition to the family. I insisted that I can't, then I texted my brother about it because it had been 10 minutes, I'm standing in the driveway with a big doggy that would not stop licking my legs, not knowing what to do. From what I was told, inside, my brother pulled my sister aside and asked her not to bring the dog in. That she knows his wife is allergic. She refused, saying that it's an open space, that sister-in-law will be fine. He then told her the news that sister-in-law is pregnant. I already knew and they were waiting until she passed her first trimester. My sister then went outside, dragged the dog and then me in when I resisted. My brother, seeing this, excused himself and left with sister-in-law. We tried resuming the lunch after that but it was awkward at best. When my sister and her fiancé cut the cake, she grabbed her glass of champagne to make a toast. The toast was her rambling about how selfish my brother and his wife were, that they couldn't let her have one day to herself and had to ruin and overshadow it. That they were not the first or last couple to get pregnant. Both of my parents tried to shush her but she was on a roll and went on to call sister-in-law an attention seeker that just had to give the family the first grandchild. I finally had enough and told her that green isn't a good look on her and that she was going to choke on her jealousy one day. Then I got up and left. She called me a bitch on my way out. My mom called me after and told me that it was a bit harsh even if she was harsher. She also suggested that the 3 of us, siblings, talk it out after things settle a bit. My dad is staying neutral. I haven't heard from relatives that were at the luncheon. Am I the asshole? Not the asshole. Your sister was being selfish and obviously has issues with your brother and Sil. Icing on the cake was the comment about giving the family its first grandchild. You can only be nice and stay neutral for so long. No one can fault you for snapping after that whole struggle with the dog and your sister's rant. She didn't even treat the poor puppy well. The last thing a new puppy needs to deal with is the chaos and overstimulation of a family party. And what did they do with the poor wee bugger while they were cutting the cake and making their pissy speeches? Just leave it outside? Inside to piddle in a corner. 'Cause the first few weeks with my pups they piddled with gay abandon every few minutes. Not the asshole. Yeah, I'm not invited but I'm wearing white to that wedding. What worries me is this person will see her plan pissed everyone off and she will blame the dog and take it to the pound. Or worse, set it free in a remote area. People like this woman are so wrapped up in their own world, they have zero self-awareness. Not the asshole. Your sister was way out of line. Bringing a dog into a space where someone is allergic is already problematic, but doing it after being asked not to, and then doubling down by ranting about how it was her day, was selfish. Her reaction to your brother and sister-in-law's pregnancy news and her toast were completely inappropriate. You calling her out may have been blunt, but she needed to hear it, especially after how she treated your brother and his wife. It seems like your family is trying to keep the peace, but your sister's behavior is what truly disrupted the event, not your response. Of course not the asshole. But just like your sister, your father is the asshole too. He is conveniently staying neutral as he hates his responsibility of educating his children. Tell him in his face too to start be a man and do his job as a parent. Not just doing it when it is fun and happy, but also when it is painful. Sorry, I just hate this kind of father who always be neutral all the time cause he can't be bothered. You were sure harsh, but I won't be playing around about the health of a pregnant woman. Am I the asshole for telling my friend she shouldn't be hosting if her kid isn't ready to be around people? My friend has a 9-year-old foster daughter. They're homeschooling the girl because she gets overwhelmed around big groups of people and because she goes to other programs and services during the day. All of this means she doesn't get many opportunities to be around other kids, so my friend invited us and another family over and told us to bring our kids so her daughter could get used to being around other kids. Our kids are 12 male, 10 male, and 7 female. The other kids were 11 male and 8 female. She tried, but the place wasn't set up very well for the kids. She had a little marble run set, magnetiles, board games, and coloring set up in the living room for the kids. Her daughter saw it and asked if those were her toys. My friend said no and that she got new ones for them to share with the other kids. Then she asked about the games and my friend said yes, those were their games. The girl picked up the boxes and took them to her room. My friend wasn't able to talk her into sharing them and refused to tell her they were for everybody. The toys were also set up for younger kids, so the boys started to get bored. I asked about turning on the TV and she told me that she can plug it in, but she doesn't have cable or streaming, so the only things they can watch are whatever's free on Roku or YouTube. We ended up sending the boys outside to play on her trampoline even though it was cold. Her daughter only colored with the girls when her mom was with her, then after 20 minutes she wanted to play by herself and locked herself in her room. She came out when dinner was ready and refused to sit with the other kids. There was pasta, chicken, buttered noodles, and salad available, but she still refused to eat any of it, so her mom had to get up and make mac and cheese and Dino nuggets just to get her to eat. After dinner she sat in her mom's lap and refused to move until we went home. She was thanking us while we were leaving and saying this was great for her daughter. I told her that watching her kid get special treatment and take things away from them wasn't good for the rest of the kids, so she needs to wait until her daughter can be around people before she hosts again. She thinks I was extremely rude and didn't need to say anything, but someone needs to tell her that she can't have other kids over if that's how her kid behaves. Am I the asshole? You are the asshole. She invited you over to get her daughter used to being around other kids. Of course there are going to be road bumps and challenges. Telling your friend that she should wait until the daughter is ready to socialize before hosting people is like telling someone they should already know how to ride a bike before they ever hop on one. She has to start somewhere, and it sounds like this girl has a lot to overcome. Your friend would have a better idea than you as to how to deal with her daughter. You should keep your nose out of her parenting. How do you expect the daughter to learn if she's not experiencing the bumps in the road? Were you kids always perfect? Did you not have moments where you had to work through some stuff? This was a learning experience and one that was obviously going to have some kinks. I would learn to tailor your expectations and learn to be empathetic. This kid hasn't had stability like yours have. She's not had a normal upbringing so far. Are you teaching your kids to be judgmental with your attitude? You may want to relearn thinking before you speak before you're around other people again. You are the asshole. You are the asshole. Wow, I'm sorry to say it, but you are a terrible friend. The problem is not that this foster child, who didn't wind up living in your friend's house because she has had such a super terrific life, by the way, struggles. The problem is that you are too petty to be able to adapt to that child's needs. Nothing you describe is so terrible, and nothing is something that your children should not have been able to manage. You are the asshole. Just wow, your friend needed your help and support and all she received was your judgment. Do you understand how hard what she is doing is? You had an amazing opportunity to teach your children compassion and service to others. You could have taught them that not everyone has the same experiences growing up and that our experiences can influence our fears. Teach them that fear can cause people to have difficulty knowing how to behave in ways that others understand. Teach them that they can have a huge positive impact on someone that needs kindness. Instead, you taught them to only be concerned about themselves. You sucked here as a friend, a mother, and a human being. I told her that watching her kid get special treatment and take things away from them wasn't good for the rest of the kids. Given that you're such a parenting expert, why can't you explain the situation to the kids? All of them are old enough to understand a basic version of the situation, and this child is working on learning to share, is a pretty simple explanation. Your suggestion of teaching the child sharing and socializing without her meeting other kids is, I'm going to say, impossible, because stupid would be rude. You are the asshole. You have no idea what happened to her. You knew she was struggling with social situations. Having play dates can help with that. Of course she's going to struggle, and you knew before attending. You should have been a patient and supportive friend. And you could have used this as a teachable moment for your kids. You are the asshole. Am I the asshole for not giving washer and dryer away to brother-in-law and sister-in-law? I have a brother-in-law and sister-in-law that has owed my wife and me $1,200 for over 3 years now. They were struggling at the time, and we let them borrow the money to get a place of their own with the expectation that they would pay us back quickly, although we really expected that they would give us $50 here and there until it was paid back, which we were fine with. Now, more than 3 years later, we have not received a dime and they avoid the subject. The other day, our 4-year-old dryer quit working, and instead of dealing with the hassle of getting it repaired, we went out and bought a new washer and dryer set. We posted the old ones for free on Facebook Marketplace. Almost immediately, my sister-in-law messaged that they wanted it, to which I replied that I would sell it to them for $1,200. She called my wife about the exchange and my wife was somewhat upset. I've temporarily taken the listing down, but I am adamant that they don't get it, especially since there is still a ton of value in them. Am I the asshole? They still owe you money. Why would you give them something for free? Not the asshole. Not the asshole. You don't have an in-law problem, you have a wife problem. Not the asshole. They still owe you a substantial sum. They aren't entitled to any more assistance from you. They were planning on selling them. I would start a group chat with everyone included and start sending reminders when they get paid for your money. $50 by 24 months is $1,200. I'm sure with both working they can swing $50. Not the asshole, but you can hide your listings from friends on Facebook Marketplace. I'd relist it. Am I the asshole for kicking my sister out, so she has to live in a dormitory? Hello. 19 male, started university and have been living in an apartment I inherited from my real mother's mother. My mother was never in my life. This was her way to make things right. I moved there in June and found a job that I could do part-time while going to school full-time. We are from a small town with only an elementary school, and the closest high school had a bad reputation and takes 45 minutes with the school bus. Luckily for my step-sister, 16 female, who graduated from elementary school, was accepted to a nice high school in the city, as she had pretty good grades. Her options were to live in a dormitory or with me in my apartment, as it is walking distance from her school, and even though this apartment is not very big, it has 2 bedrooms. My stepmother, sister's real mother, and father agreed that that was the best idea, and I agreed because even without rent the bills from the apartment were high enough to be pretty good junk from my salary from the part-time job. First things were nice, as we usually get along nicely with my sister, but in the first school week she found some new friends and it turned out to be annoying for me. She started to arrive home late and often smelled like alcohol and cigarettes. I told her that I couldn't fall asleep without knowing where she was. The last drop was last Wednesday. I arrived from work at 10 in the evening and she was nowhere. I sent her messages asking where she was and no reply. She appeared home at 5 in the morning and did not sleep a moment. I told our parents that I couldn't live like that, and my father told me, "Don't you remember when you were this age? And you will also have kids one day." And I said that why not, but I didn't want to worry about kids today. I called the dormitory on Friday and asked if they had a vacancy, and they did. I sent them all my sister's information and told them that our parents would sign everything on Monday. When she went to visit her parents on the weekend, I took all her stuff, loaned a car from my friend and took her stuff to our parents' place and told them that I couldn't do it anymore and she could live in a dormitory. She has a place there. Demand for high school student dormitories is not too high, lucky me. My father was pissed and told me that I am an asshole for making my sister live in the dormitory. Sister cried and said she did not want to share a room with some stranger. I know she also hates the fact that the dormitory has strict rules including curfew. Only my stepmother shrugged and told me that it was my sister's own fault she did not listen to me. I feel like my sister hoped that living with his older brother was her chance to have freedom, but I feel responsible for her. Am I the asshole? Not the asshole. And why isn't the father more concerned about a 16-year coming home at 5 a.m.? Not the asshole. You gave her a chance, she didn't respect it. It is irresponsible of the father not only to expect your sister to live well in the apartment, but also to expect you to help look after your sister, but it is his daughter, you have no obligation to do so. And if your sister doesn't correct this behavior, it will seriously affect your life and may lead your sister herself astray. So I think it's best for your sister to live in the dorm. I love Am I the Asshole? The entire sub can be summed up with, who needs enemies with friends, family like these? Not the asshole. With freedom comes responsibility and accountability for their actions. It's funny how in this situation you are the one to cares too much, opposed to your dad who is saying let sister do whatever the fuck she wants. Not the asshole. You are too young to be raising a teenager.